Today, we're diving into a book that teaches you how to use your mind to become a mastermind, just like Sherlock Holmes. If you're not familiar with Sherlock Holmes, let me introduce you to one of the most famous fictional detectives ever created. Written by Sir Arthur Conan Doyle, Sherlock Holmes has captivated readers for over a century with his extraordinary cognitive abilities, sharp observation skills, and uncanny powers of deduction. He notices details that most people miss, and from those tiny clues, he builds theories that are always spot on. Imagine being able to think like that. Have you ever wondered if you, too, could train your mind to solve problems like Sherlock? Well, today's video is all about how you can apply his techniques to improve your problem-solving and decision-making skills in everyday life. We all face difficult decisions and challenges every day, right? But what if you could breeze through them, solving problems with ease, just like Sherlock Holmes? It's possible. You just need to train your brain to work like his. Before we jump into the techniques, let's look at one of Sherlock Holmes' most intriguing cases to better understand his method. It was a cold, foggy night in London, perfect for mystery and danger. Sherlock Holmes and Dr. Watson were enjoying a quiet evening when suddenly there was a loud knock at the door. A terrified woman rushed in. Her face was pale, and fear was written all over her eyes. "Mr. Holmes," she stammered, "my husband, he's been murdered, and there's a red skull mark near his body. The police couldn't solve it, so I've come to you for help." Holmes calmed the distressed Mrs. Elizabeth Martin, the wife of a prominent businessman, and gathered the details. Mr. Martin's body was found in his office, and near it, someone had drawn a skull in red, possibly with blood. This was not an isolated case. Similar marks had been found at other crime scenes across London. Holmes immediately began his investigation. Accompanied by Watson, he arrived at Mr. Martin's office, where everything appeared normal. But one thing caught Holmes' eye: the red skull mark. On closer inspection with his magnifying glass, Holmes realized the lines were too precise to be made by a regular person. "Watson," Holmes muttered, "this is no ordinary criminal. Whoever made this mark is highly skilled, and we must take this case very seriously." As Holmes delved deeper, he discovered that this red skull was linked to a series of murders and connected to a secret organization known as the Red Skull. This group had been targeting wealthy individuals in London, leaving behind the ominous skull mark as a warning. But why? Holmes theorized that the organization was extorting these individuals, using fear and murder to control them. Soon, Holmes uncovered the shocking truth. The Red Skull was a secret union of powerful businessmen and leaders, using fear tactics to manipulate their opponents. But Mr. Martin's murder confused Holmes. He was part of the same union, so why would they kill one of their own? Holmes, using his impeccable logic, realized that Martin had likely tried to rebel against the group, and that's why they silenced him. Holmes devised a plan. He instructed Mrs. Martin to invite all the businessmen to her husband's funeral. Holmes, always 2 steps ahead, had already laid a trap. At the funeral, he carefully observed the attendees, noticing the worry etched on some of their faces. With the police on standby, Holmes waited for the perfect moment. As the service concluded, Holmes stood up, his piercing gaze sweeping over the crowd. "Ladies and gentlemen," he began, his voice firm, "Mr. Martin's death was no random act of violence. It was a calculated move, and many of you are complicit in this crime." The room fell silent, and the businessmen were left stunned. Holmes presented irrefutable evidence, collected through his meticulous investigation. "You thought you could terrorize this city and remain undetected, but you underestimated the power of observation. Nothing escapes Sherlock Holmes. That, my friends, is the brilliance of Sherlock Holmes. His mind operates like a finely tuned machine, noticing what others overlook and solving mysteries no one else can crack." And that's the key lesson from this book. You too can train your mind to think like a detective. Ready to unlock the Sherlock in you? Let's begin. Ultimately, the Red Skull organization was exposed, and all the culprits were arrested. London was saved from a looming threat, and Holmes added yet another complex case to his diary, further solidifying his legendary career. For Holmes, this was just another case, but once again, His keen intellect and flawless logic proved that no mystery in the world was beyond his reasonable mind. Whenever Sherlock Holmes cracks a case, his greatest strength lies in his observation and his unmatched attention to detail. Holmes doesn't just see what's in front of him, he notices what escapes the average eye. This skill sets him apart. He often says, "You see, but you do not observe." This statement means that most people only look at things superficially, while Holmes pays attention to the smallest details, no matter how insignificant they might seem. And that's why he's so successful at solving cases. So, how can you improve your observation and attention to detail? Just like Sherlock Holmes? Here are a few practical tips. 1. Observe everything around you. When you encounter a situation or an object, don't just glance at it. Observe it fully. Notice the color, texture, size, and the things surrounding it. For example, when you enter a room, pay close attention to its layout and the placement of objects. Don't just see, observe. 2. Focus on body language. When you're talking to someone, don't just listen to their words. Watch their body language, facial expressions, and tone of voice. This will help you understand their emotions and mindset better, just like Holmes does when analyzing suspects or witnesses. 3. Play memory and focus games. Engage in activities that sharpen your memory and focus. For example, walk into a room, observe it for a few minutes, then leave and try to write down everything you can remember. This simple exercise can significantly improve your observation and recall abilities. 4. Look for small details in everyday life. Train yourself to notice tiny details in everyday things. For instance, when reading an article, try to spot grammar mistakes or inconsistencies. This practice will improve your attention to detail over time. To illustrate Sherlock Holmes' keen observation, let's look at a famous example. Once, Holmes and Dr. Watson were sitting in their room. Holmes asked Watson, "How many times have you seen these stairs?" Watson replied, "Hundreds of times." Then Holmes asked, "How many stairs are there?" Watson didn't know the answer. Holmes then calmly said, "There are 17 steps, Watson. I've seen them, and I've observed them." This example shows the difference between merely seeing something and truly observing it. Holmes doesn't just look. He absorbs every detail and commits it to memory. This allows him to understand situations and people more clearly than others. Mastering observation and attention to detail doesn't just help in professional life. It can improve your personal life too. If we develop our skills like Sherlock Holmes, we can look at problems from new angles and enhance our problem-solving abilities. Always remember, you see, but you do not observe. That small difference can solve the biggest mysteries. Lesson 2. The brain attic, the importance of memory and its management. To better understand Sherlock Holmes' brilliant mind, let's look at a fascinating metaphor used by Maria Konnikova. She describes the concept of the brain attic. Picture your brain as an attic, a space where you store your memories and information. Just like an attic can become cluttered with unnecessary items, our minds can become disorganized if we fill them with irrelevant details. Holmes believes that the brain is a limited space, much like an attic. Therefore, only important and useful information should be stored. He organizes his thoughts and memories in such a way that he can retrieve specific information whenever he needs it without clutter. Our minds, too, have limited resources and capacity. If we clutter them with unnecessary facts, we lose the ability to focus on what's truly important. Holmes' philosophy is simple. Only keep the information that genuinely matters. This is what he calls the principle of selective memory. Once you clear out the useless facts, your mind is left with only the essential information. When a problem arises, you can quickly access the knowledge you need to solve it. Holmes' brain attic is a powerful concept that we can all apply in our lives. It's about being selective with the information we allow into our minds and organizing our thoughts so we can function at our best. Imagine having a mind so sharp, so organized, that no matter the challenge, you can pull out the perfect solution from the shelves of your mental attic, just like Sherlock Holmes does time and time again. So, remember, see beyond what's in front of you. Hone your observation skills, declutter your mind, and store only what's necessary. The more you refine these abilities, the more you'll think, reason, and problem solve like the great detective himself. Ready to start building your own brain attic? Let's go! To make our thinking sharper and decision-making faster, we must declutter our minds. For instance, if you need to remember multiple mathematical formulas, focus only on the sources relevant to your daily needs. Useless information doesn't just take up space. It blocks your brain's ability to retrieve important information when needed. Much like an attic that needs regular cleaning, our brain's attic also requires consistent upkeep to ensure that only the most useful and relevant information is stored. Sherlock Holmes firmly believed that by maintaining only valuable knowledge in our mental attic, we give ourselves the ability to access necessary information swiftly, without digging through a pile of irrelevant details. Regularly refreshing our memories and reviewing what we've learned ensures that vital information stays sharp in our minds. For example, constantly revisiting and repeating what you've learned ensures that it remains stored long-term, allowing you to recall it effortlessly when the time comes. Lesson 3. Imagination and creativity. Their role in problem-solving. Sherlock Holmes is often seen as a logical and fact-based individual, but his success is also deeply rooted in his imagination and creativity. When faced with a problem, he doesn't just rely on the available facts. He uses his imagination to envision different possibilities and scenarios. This sets him apart from others. Holmes' ability to think beyond the obvious gives him a unique advantage. If he depended solely on the facts, he might have failed in several cases. But by imagining various potential outcomes, he finds creative solutions that others miss. When we face problems, we often stick to the paths we already know. But like Sherlock Holmes, if we engage our minds in new ways, we can discover solutions that lie beyond conventional thinking. Creativity means seeing a problem from different angles and finding new, unique ways to solve it. Holmes looks at aspects that others overlook because he taps into his imagination, considering all the possible angles. For example, at a crime scene, he doesn't just look at the order of events. He also asks himself, what if things had gone differently? What would the outcome have been? This creative thinking often leads him in the right direction. Another vital technique Holmes employs is scenario visualization. When faced with a challenge, he imagines different potential outcomes in his mind. This helps him understand which path is most suitable and which result will lead him to his goal. Visualization means mentally playing out different outcomes and assessing which one could be the best for you. This process also makes you aware of potential risks and challenges. For example, if you imagine the result of a decision, you can foresee its positive and negative aspects, which enables you to make a better choice. Holmes visualizes different events in his mind and then analyzes those scenarios to reach the correct conclusion. This not only helps him avoid mistakes, but also guides him toward the right path. If you want to develop your creativity and visualization skills like Sherlock Holmes, here are a few tips. Don't rely on just one approach to solving a problem. Think from different viewpoints and consider new ideas. Always ask yourself, what else could be possible? Use mind mapping. This technique helps you organize your thoughts in a structured way and see the bigger picture while breaking down complex problems. Embrace unconventional thinking. Often, the solutions that seem far-fetched are the ones that open the door to groundbreaking ideas. Let's look at how these techniques can work in real-life situations. Imagine you have a complex business problem. Instead of approaching it with the standard strategies, try to think from a fresh perspective. Ask yourself, what would Sherlock Holmes do? Visualize different solutions, map out potential scenarios, and explore the risks and benefits of each one. When you do this, you might find an answer that was previously hidden from view. Sherlock Holmes' use of imagination and creativity is what makes him a master problem solver. He doesn't just stick to the facts, he creates possibilities in his mind, plays them out, and discovers solutions others can't even imagine. His ability to blend logic with creativity is what elevates him above everyone else. So, if you want to think and solve problems like Sherlock Holmes, don't just fill your brain's attic with random facts. Organize your thoughts, clear out the unnecessary, and make room for the important. Use your imagination to visualize different possibilities and never shy away from thinking creatively. The path to success lies not just in what you see, but in how you choose to observe and imagine. Systemizing your thoughts for creativity and problem solving. One powerful tool for organizing your thoughts and sparking creativity is mind mapping. By laying out different options and comparing them visually, you can break down complex problems and see connections you might otherwise miss. This technique helps you create order in your thinking and explore new possibilities. Regularly practicing meditation and visualization can also have a huge impact on your creative flow. Meditation calms your mind, creating space for new ideas to emerge. Visualization, on the other hand, allows you to mentally map out different scenarios, helping you predict outcomes before making decisions. The key is to ask yourself the right questions. What would happen if I took this path? If I made this decision, how would the results differ? Asking these types of questions leads your brain toward new thoughts, new strategies, and ultimately, new solutions. Lesson 4. The power of emotional control. When Sherlock Holmes investigates a case, he doesn't allow emotions to cloud his judgment. He sets them aside and focuses solely on logic and objectivity. This emotional detachment enables him to think clearly and reach fair conclusions without personal bias. But here's the truth. Emotions can be tricky. When we're faced with challenges, emotions like fear, anger, or excitement can interfere with our logical thinking. Holmes teaches us that if we can master emotional control, we become better equipped to handle any challenge that comes our way. Emotional control doesn't mean suppressing your feelings. It's about managing them in a way that lets logic lead the way. When we let our emotions dictate our actions, we often make impulsive decisions. But with practice, we can learn to pause, breathe, and then respond rationally, even under pressure. Think of emotional control as the key to clarity and purpose. One of the most important lessons we can learn from Sherlock Holmes is how to remain calm and logical in the face of challenges. This concept aligns closely with Stoic philosophy, which emphasizes focusing on what we can control and not wasting time or energy on what we cannot change. By adopting this approach, Holmes maintains his composure even in the most difficult situations. He doesn't get swept away by emotions or let panic steer his decisions. Instead, he analyzes the facts, considers the possibilities, and stays laser-focused on the goal. Applying Holmes' techniques to your life. Now, imagine applying these principles to your own life. Whenever you face a problem, take a step back. Ask yourself, what is within my control here? Focus on those aspects and let go of the rest. This mindset will not only calm you down, but also sharpen your thinking. So, friends, this wraps up today's summary. If you enjoyed it, let us know in the comments. Remember, mastering emotional control, like Sherlock Holmes, is a skill anyone can develop. It allows you to approach challenges with clarity, focus, and a sense of calm, no matter how chaotic things may seem. Thank you for listening to the end, and until next time, keep training your mind to think like Sherlock Holmes. So, what did you think of our video today? We'd love to hear your thoughts, so drop a comment below and let us know. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to hit that like button, share with your friends, and subscribe to our channel, Ladder Up. Your support means the world to us and keeps us motivated to bring you more amazing content. Stay tuned for more exciting videos, and until then, take care and keep elevating your game. See you next time, and remember, keep reaching higher.